Now, this was an interesting question that was brought up, and actually a few people asked about this, and I really liked this. I was like, you know what? I'll roll into the main show. Superhero schools in comics and then transitioning them over to media. Now, when you think about this, you're like, well, it's one of these things where, like, the X-Men are probably the most well-known, right? It's like, oh, they got, Xavier School for gifted youngsters, and okay, cool. Like, it's a great approach. Like, it gives them the ability to introduce younger characters to the world, which is obviously something the MCU is doing. Now, do we think, as part of this question, that they're going to do more of it? Like, Avengers Academy is another one. There's plenty of them when you look at DC and Marvel, but specifically Marvel in this instance, because that's sort of a direction they're going in. What do you think? Is it just going to be Professor X, or do you think they're going to have more of these pop up all over the place? Because, I mean, an initiative is more younger characters in the MCU for kids to appeal to, so...
I'm not entirely sure. I'm not exactly sure how you do a school. Like, how does the mansion work? No, a mansion, fine. You can have a team living in a mansion. That's fair enough. But an entire school of kids, no.
I mean, I could definitely see that Avengers compound becoming something where they have like a training facility or something. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
it's more about the amount of characters.
Yeah, that's always the hard part.
They could follow preset amount of kids for if it's a TV show or a movie. You'd kind of rather have it as a TV show first, just to see how it goes, because that's the problem with these. You don't the huge amount of cast members in whatever superhero school that you have. That's gonna be the problem, because every one of them could be, a main character for an episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's more so as well. Like, where do you explain where these people came from?
Yeah.
Like, if it's mutants, right? If you can't just go, oh yeah, there's a school for mutants in the first movie. You're like, what? Where? When did that happen?
Right there. It happened during the 5 years.
When did that happen? Where did they come from? Why has no one talked about this before? No.
That's why I always feel like you have to take a different style approach to the X-Men, because they are going to be part of the MCU, not just, like thrown into their own universe like the Fox characters were, because it's a lot easier to explain it if it's standalone than if it's part of a bigger universe that's growing. So
the problem with X-Men is they are a universe unto themselves, and in the comics they have been that way for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they cross over because obviously they can, but they're very much their own thing.
But they always have their own problems going on that nobody really acknowledges. They're like, oh, the X-Men are doing X-Men-y things. So, yeah, I think that's, like you guys said, it does bring up that whole I don't know question mark problem. One way I think you could do it, and I thought Runaways balanced it well, but that's because Runaways is about, spoiler alert, a bunch of kids that sort of have, some powers and things being on the run. So it worked in that instinct, but you can't make every single franchise like that, because the moment you drop a whole school, even another one into the MCU, I mean, that's just so much to go over. Like, so I think you keep it to one. If you do an Avengers Academy, you could do it. It's sort of like that Age of Ultron scene at the end where they're all maybe just standing there. You show a training montage or something, but I don't think you make a whole thing out of it. It would just seem personally to me, it seems a little overkill, because you would want the X-Mansion and the X-Men to be a little bit more standout among the rest of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose you could always have like the Avengers Academy more of a military thing, and the X-Men school more of a we live here thing.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I could. So, I don't know, like, I'm never opposed to the idea of anything, because I think they can make anything work if you give it enough care and attention. But too much of a thing can sometimes be bad, like...
Yeah, they just got to be very careful how they handle it, because, yes, you can just do it the same way as the comics, but it's like, well, the comics the comics haven't got the issue of time.
Yeah.
These movies have that factor of time, and time passes and moves on, and you have to have everything fit. You can't just go back and retcon everything.
Yeah, because comics have a sliding time scale, so they have all the time in the world to do whatever they need to do within the time frame compared to.
I mean, even without the sliding time scale, I can just go, yeah, this thing happened to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you're gonna get people and all, but this contradicts this. And
Look,
this
you get that anyway. You get that anyway right now.
Jean Grey has been arguing with herself of if she wants Logan or Scott for like 60 years, okay? And it's like, oh, and in comics time, it's only been like, what, 4 years of X-Men or whatever? It's like, huh. Boy, these characters, huh? Like,
I was gonna say it hasn't been long.
No, it's like instant almost. It feels like, which that's a thing.
They got 15 years to play with in Marvel at least. That's how their time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I suppose we'll find out soon enough how they're gonna handle it when they introduce the X-Men. But obviously when we get that info, we will talk about it here. So